Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, let's take a detailed look at the newly refreshed 2014 Chevrolet Camaro SS with the optional 1LE Performance Group. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the Camaro. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip and go over the performance data, as well as show you a bunch of the unique aspects of the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to extend a special thanks to Reed Lollier Chevrolet, located in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for allowing me to come out and film the newly refreshed 2014 Chevrolet Camaro SS with the 1LE Performance Group. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. The exterior color is known as Red Rock Metallic, and this particular 1LE features the full jet black leather interior with the new optional Recaro Sport Leather bucket seats, new for 2014. The Camaro SS features variable gear ratio, speed proportional, electric assist rack and pinion power steering, and the 1LE specific flat bottom race inspired steering wheel, very reminiscent of what you would find in a ZL1. Heavy bolsters up top here, all Alcantara wrapped with color accent stitching coming up across the bottom, metallic silver accenting, and your multifunction controls side to side with the SS badging down below. And if you opt for the 1LE package, the only transmission you can get is a standard close ratio 6-speed manual. Smooth, tight gear changes, all the way over, up is reverse, and once you put it in reverse, your backup camera automatically appears with your parking sensors that automatically identify objects behind you. And so I'm going to flip on the automatic projector headlamps, fog lamps, as well as the hazards. Both the windows are fully automatic as standard. And we're going to check out the exterior, shall we? Chevrolet has been on a roll lately with their latest Camaro lineup. After a nearly 10-year hiatus since the last 4th gen left showroom floors back in 2002, the 2010 5th generation Camaro brought about serious potential for the brand and set the stage for exciting future models. Of course, there are many variants and special editions that followed the past few years, but it's performance that we really get excited about. The SS already features a potent V8 engine, but the thirst for performance, not only in power but in handling, has led to more track-purpose cars that blend the best of both worlds. The ZL1 with its supercharged V8 and the recently introduced and soon-to-be launched Z28, a more hardcore track-themed Camaro with a powerplant derived from a Corvette Z06. In the midst of all this excitement though, Chevrolet also introduced a new trim package, revitalizing a classic option code known as the 1LE Performance Group. First making its appearance for 2013, the 1LE group can be thought as a bridge between the range-topping ZL1 and the standard SS. It shares many components with the ZL1 in order to enhance the driving profile and decrease understeer of the standard cars for a lot less money that you would find in a ZL1. In fact, it's similar to what Ford did with the Mustang Boss 302, a nice track-inspired vehicle bridging the gap between the standard car and the GT500. The biggest question though is what's new for 2014, and what makes the 1LE cars different from a regular SS. The Camaro has seen a lot of interior revisements over the past few years, including new gauges, steering wheel, dash padding, and various electronics. Everything inside pretty much carries over from 2013, aside from the addition of the optional Recaro seats for both the SS and the ZL1. Outside, Camaro gets its first refresh since 2010. An all-new front and rear fascia give it a more menacing look. The front is lower and wider with slimmer xenon headlamps and signature halo accents. A slender piece of chrome trails the top of the fascia, breaking up the otherwise black grille. All 2014 SS models also feature ZL1-inspired hood extractors. They work by pulling the air through the front and over the windshield, where roof channels help keep everything uniform as it passes over the rear. This helps improve aerodynamics and increase downforce on the track. 1LE cars also get a special flat black wrapped hood, which is the easiest way to discern a 1LE. The front fascia itself also gets more robust with lower splitters that also help channel air. As far as the refreshed rear, replacing the quad tail lamps are now one-piece LED units, and while originally controversial, actually look really good in person. Matching the front, there's also a slender piece of chrome at the bottom of each lamp. The 1LE cars also have a matching flat black spoiler and the newly optional dual mode exhaust that takes the sound up a notch. Finishing everything off is a revised lower diffuser. The 1LE also features the same flat black forged aluminum alloys as the ZL1, 20 by 10 inches in front and 20 by 11 inches in the rear, only lacking the asymmetric ZL1 tires. They're wrapped in Goodyear Eagle F1 Supercar summer tires measuring 285/35 at each wheel. Brakes are large ventilated discs measuring 14 inches in front and 14.4 inches in the rear with 4-piston fixed calipers at each rotor. The system can bring the 1LE to a stop from 60 miles an hour in a very short 108 feet. As far as the suspension, it's fully independent with McPherson struts up front and dual lower ball joints with twin-tube dampers and a multi-link rear with monotube dampers. Not to mention the larger stabilizer bars front and rear. Overall, the 1LE has been tested to pull around 1 G in lateral cornering forces. Overall length is 190.4 inches with a width of 75.5 inches and a height of 54.2 inches. Total curb weight, depending on how equipped, is right around 3,800 pounds. So we're gonna pop the hood. One thing that didn't change much is the standard SS power plant, consisting of Chevy's all-aluminum 6.2-liter LS3 pushrod 16-valve V8. It produces a healthy 426 horsepower at 5,900 RPM, with peak torque of 420 pound-feet at 4,600 RPM. The engine's red line is around 6,250 RPM. 0 to 60 times are approximately 4.7 seconds, with quarter-mile times around 13 seconds at 108.7 miles per hour. As far as fuel economy, with a 19-gallon tank and required premium fuel, expect to see somewhere in the neighborhood between 16 city and 24 miles to a gallon on the highway. Now, as far as the interiors go, the Camaro hasn't changed much since 2010. As I mentioned earlier, most notable changes over the past few years include a new steering wheel, gauges, padded material on the dash, and new for last year, a frameless rear-view mirror and navigation. Build quality is reasonable overall, with unique styling details like the painted trim across the doors that flow into the dash. Padded armrests with color accent stitching, all of your power windows, power locks, and power mirrors, as well as your trunk release and storage located on the door. And like I touched on earlier, new for this year is the optional sport leather Recaro bucket seats. They feature a fantastic amount of lateral grip and actually a good amount of padding for longer term comfort. There's holes up top for integrated racing harnesses if you choose to make your Camaro a little bit more of a track ready vehicle. Color accent stitching across the leather with some microfiber suede coming across the middle of the seats. Your electric adjustments are located down below. There's integrated side airbags, seatbelt holders, as well as the SS badging stitched into the top of the headrest. Down below, you have the standard Chevrolet aluminum door sill plaques, as well as a full manual telescoping steering wheel. Across the dash, you'll see the padded trim that they added for 2012. It's actually Alcantara on certain models like the ZL1. The painted trim coming up across the dash, flowing into the doors, and everything nicely finished off with a full black headliner. So let's go and see how she sounds. So let's go and shut her up. Solid door panels. Now last year, for the first time in Camaro history, it was finally introduced with the Chevrolet MyLink System, a mobile media navigation telemetrics interface that can be had with optional navigation. What's cool about the MyLink system, it's pretty unique in the fact that it uses a lot of smartphone integration. So many of the features and functions that you would typically see, they're all organized in an app-style fashion. Kind of similar to the Cadillac Q system, although this is almost an entirely different system altogether. You load up your apps, you can also sync internet radio like Pandora and Stitcher. There's a whole lot of functionality to it, and it's pretty neat once you get used to it. Also standard is a premium Boston Acoustics audio system with standard XM satellite radio. Up top, last year Chevrolet also introduced a new frameless rearview mirror. It gives a nice retro touch with touch-sensitive OnStar controls. And in the top stack, you have your hands-free Bluetooth microphone, garage home link, and interior illumination. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is the main home screen for the MyLink system. You have all of your different apps for the radio, multimedia, as well as navigation if the vehicle was equipped with such. Across the sides, you have touch-sensitive buttons for the radio, as well as some of the system settings and changing the source. Back button up top, and your favorite stations. If you hit that, you can always pull it up at the bottom of the screen. AM/FM located up top, with your station, song data if it's available. Your XM satellite radio with Grace Note. It's pretty neat too. The system will actually, depending on the specific genre of the radio station you're listening to, will normally put like a little background image to kind of complement. Always display the song information. If you hit menu, you can tag it for iTunes. Tune Select will allow you to save a specific artist or song to always alert you when it comes on the air, as well as adjusting some of the other XM settings. Always adjust the radio source off to the right, between all the different options, including your internet radio, Bluetooth audio, and more. Now, like I said, you could get navigation with the system, but this particular one's not equipped with it. Your hands-free Bluetooth telephone that automatically asks you to pair it, and you can store your numbers, change it between the different radio modes, including your internet media, USB, auxiliary, Bluetooth streaming, your audio adjustments and preset equalizers, configuration, all of the system settings, customizable options. And down below, part of your XM satellite radio subscription, you have real-time fuel prices, look up movie times, and weather updates, future forecasts, and location-based forecasts. Quick info are just some shortcut keys for the most popular options you'll probably use for the system. You can also load up pictures of the hard drive-based system. Your time and outside temperature are located up top, and if you hit this menu button right down below there, you can customize depending on which icons that you want to show in your main screen and sorting them. And your shortcut keys on either side, your telephone, seek, changing the radio source, back, tone, the configuration for the different settings like I mentioned earlier, as well as play and pause. Since the system's a hard drive based system, you can actually pause live radio and double back to re-listen to something that you've already listened to already. It's a pretty neat system, then you can pause it and then go back to live radio whenever you're done. And if you didn't want to touch while you're going down the road, you can also use this little wheel right here. It's also the tune button, and it goes between the different options. When you're ready, just hit select. If we hit source and go back to XM, if you use this button over here, it's also the tune button that'll go through the various stations. As we continue down the center console, your simple to use climate controls with a knurled rubberized pattern on the large rotary knobs. You have your fan speed, temperature, different zones, 2-stage heated seats for both sides, AC, recycling, and front and rear defrost. And down below that, the standard SS gauge pack with your oil pressure, oil temperature, voltometer, as well as the transmission temperature. Traction control located here, as well as a power outlet. Continuing down the slender center console, you have 2 cup holders of various sizes, padded center console with color accent stitching, locks back, and you have a 12-volt power outlet, your auxiliary, USB integration, and a modest amount of storage. The heads-up display located to the right of the steering column has also been refreshed. It's beamed up onto the windshield, as you can see here, right now showing your compass, outside temperature, as well as vehicle speed. There's a variety of menus, tachometer, lateral Gs, and back to the standard one. You can adjust the height, as well as the brightness. As far as the steering wheel, your cruise control is located off to the left, while your radio controls and hands-free telephone controls are off to the right. You also have your hands-free voice commands.
Please say a command.
Help.
What do you need help with? Please say radio, phone, my media, navigation, or settings. For OnStar speech commands, say OnStar. For help with other commands, say other commands. If you need to exit the session, say goodbye.
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 It's a pleasant system to use and quite simple overall. All of the commands are listed in your owner's manual so you can brush up and become more familiar with it. Off to the left-hand side of the stalk here, you also have an integrated driver information system. Located right in the middle of the speedometer cluster in that little digital display. In this screen, you can go between vehicle information as well as your performance menu. While you're in the performance menu, there's a lap timer for the days of the track, as well as other vehicle diagnostics. Trip, fuel information, digital speed readout, your trip, fuel, as well as navigation directions if you get it beamed down from OnStar. Last but not least, the vehicle information menu. Tire pressure, units, speed warning, oil life, etc. Pretty simple. I've always thought it was a cool styling cue as well, how the doors just blend into the dash, how it curves around, and then wraps into the large sill panel. The pod-style air vents integrate nicely with the curvature of the door here. It just gives a nice little unique styling cue. Alrighty. We'll get shutter down. And we're going to check out the back seat real quick. To gain access, there's a handle in the back of the seat here. You just pull it forward. Back seat room is pretty standard Camaro for those of you who've seen some of my previous Camaro videos. It can also fold if you needed some more storage space. So let's go and check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we? I'm sure many people are familiar with the trunk space of the 5th generation Camaro by now, especially if you've seen some of my previous videos. But for completeness sake, it's around 11.3 cubic feet. It's a narrow opening, so it fits a few pieces of luggage, suitcase, as well as other everyday items, but for longer term traveling, it may be a little bit tight. The passenger seat features the same electric adjustments that you find on the driver's seat. Padded trim with the color accent stitching extends to the side of the dash like I mentioned earlier. And you also have a lockable glove box with a good amount of storage space. With the revitalization of the 1LE package, the Camaro has been tweaked just a bit further to make it an even more well-rounded sports car. With a more realistic price point, for someone not wanting or needing the ZL1, it's a fantastic balance between the two. Something that keeps getting better and better over time. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2014 Chevrolet Camaro SS 1LE. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.